There we go. Right, so for the students that are on the call, thank you so much for joining. This is the first session for QMI1500. My name is Bronwyn Wright. I'm the Regional Academic Coordinator for Quantitative Literacies in the Western Cape region. And with me on the call is Mr. Jean Domacia, who is your facilitator for this module for QMI1500. Jean, you will give them some more introduction to yourself and background and the WhatsApp group and all of that when you go on to the discussion. Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
So for the students that are on the call, I just want to show you some tips and tricks with our Western Cape student support site so that you can go and familiarize yourself with the site and where to get information that you need from us. You can see that Tabo's also actively posting in the chat, which is quite useful, that we post some notes or we give videos, etc., that can help you along your study journey. But what you do need to have for these sessions is access to our portal so that you can get access to the notes and recordings, as well as how to join the site. So I'm just going to share my screen and then I'm going to quickly just do a brief demo. Most of you should be familiar with MyUnisa. And this is obviously the platform that we use. We use the Western Cape My Modules site. I just want to open all my windows so I can see everybody. So basically what you need to do to get onto our site, I'm going to take it step by step, is you open up your browser, and I'm just going to open up a new blank window. So once you've opened up your browser, be it in Edge, Microsoft Edge, or Firefox, or Chrome, you just click on these three dots here, and you go to a new private window. Now you can see at the moment I have logged in with my work account. So the same picture that you're seeing on your screen of my little avatar, you will also see here on my work account. So I've signed in with my work account. But because I'm a student as well at UNISA, now I want to switch my browser so that I can go and see the Western Cape portal without signing out of my Microsoft 365 account, my work account. So all you do is you click on these three buttons. You click on a new private window. In Chrome, it will be a new incognito window. So don't get confused between the two. And I've just bookmarked my UNISA here. So I click on my UNISA. Obviously, if you haven't, you will just type in my UNISA and search for it. And my internet is very slow today, so just be patient. Unless my UNISA is very slow. I think I do have one open. Okay, we'll just wait a couple of minutes. And the nice thing about this as well is if you have any problems when you're getting to your exams or for any reason, sometimes what happens if you are logging in on the browser that you are usually using, for example, a work account or another account, then what happens is my UNISA can hang. It's always best to go into the incognito or private window because the cookies are not captured there. So then you don't need to clear your browsing history, etc., etc. So just remember that when you're logging onto your exams and your MyUnisa portal hangs, rather go into your new private window or incognito window. Okay, so I'm just going to open up that private window again. So this is my private window. Now log in with my UNISA credentials. So this is my student account. And you click on login and you can see it quickly logs in, and then you will click on my modules. So once you click on my modules, it takes you to the landing page and you will be familiar with this drop down. Once you click on this drop down, you will see all the courses that you modules, that you have registered for. And you click on this one at the bottom, the Western Cape region. Now, if you do not see this icon, Western Cape region, it means that we haven't linked you to the Western Cape region portal. We usually do this at the start of the semester, so there might be one or two students who paid a little bit later. If you do not see it, please send us an email to CTN-TUT. I'm going to quickly put the email address in the chat for you. So the email address is ctntut@unisa.ac.za. And when you send the email, please just indicate which module you are wanting to link up with so that we can add you to the mailing list as well. Don't just send, please add me to the session, because I don't know what session it is. You must specify with your student number as well as which modules you want to link up. Okay, so if you do not see Western Cape region, I have included in the chat the email address to send your query to. So if you click on the Western Cape region, it will open our landing page. And yeah, you will just see all the relevant information to the Western Cape support site. Just give me 1 second, please. So the nice thing about this site is you will have access to all our events, workshops, and schedules, other schedules that is taking place either at the Cape Town campus in Paro or on Teams. But also you will be able to like our Western Cape Facebook page and also follow us on Twitter. So these are very important sources of communication with our students. Currently, the SMS system is down, or we're not sending out SMSs to students for various reasons. So we communicate either via email or via Facebook or Twitter. So please do go and like these pages. There are links. You can simply just go and click on them and then click on the like button. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview of the support services that are available. I'm not going to go into too much detail. You can go and look at this in your own time. But one I just want to explain to you is the digital learning platform. So we do have a digital learning advisor who is able to assist you with anything related to My UNISA, My Life, and your Office 365 account or Microsoft 365 account. If you do get stuck, you can book a consultation with Sibu. You can do this either come in person or you can do it online. So you are welcome to do that if you are having any trouble. Then also there is self-troubleshooting resources that you can use, and we have got the different links there. So you just click on the button. And also when you get closer to your exams, there is also a resource that you can use to go and view how you can navigate your proctoring tools, what type of exams there are, etc. So please do make sure that you are familiar with this site as well. If there's anything you're unsure about, you write to CT and TUT or you book a consultation with Sibu, as I explained over here. Okay, so that's the one portal that is important. Then the next one that I want you to go and have a look at is the Numeracy Center. So anything to do with numbers, statistics, mathematics, in this case, quantitative methods, decision sciences will fall under the Numeracy Center. Economics, accounting, anything to do with numbers. Anything to do with academic reading and writing. So if you're doing English, if you're doing, for example, philosophy, psychology, that will fall under the writing center. So do go and click between the two so that you are familiar with which modules are covered under which of these sections. So under the writing center, I'm just going to explain to you, very important, the little schedule that is here. So yeah, you can see this is just the schedule for the Numeracy Center. And yeah, you can see is your module, the QMI1500 that's offered tonight. And this is where you can join the session other than getting the email from Ndima. So this is one other way that you can join the session. If you right click on this join session button, there will be a little link, copy link. And if you copy that link, you can share it with your fellow students, as I asked in the introduction as well. There is also a link to the notes and recordings. So as you can see, this session is recorded. And once this session is completed, after 72 hours, Sibu will then upload the recording for you. So I'm just going to click on it so that you can see how the notes and recordings page looks. So once the recording is available, it will appear here. Now, very important, after the session, directly after the session, there will be a stream recording in the chat. Now, remember, if you don't log on with your My UNISA credentials, you will not be able to access that recording. So that is one negative for logging on with a different account other than your My UNISA account. But then also what you need to take into consideration is if you are going to log on with when you log on with your UNISA account, then you can also access, like I mentioned, this notes and recordings page. And then also the recordings, what I wanted to mention is we download it from Stream and then we upload it to YouTube. So it just saves you a little bit on data. Stream is a little bit more expensive than the YouTube. We have actually done a cost comparison with that. So if you just wait 72 hours, when it is closer to your assignments and your exams, obviously we do try and speed up the turnaround time, but Sibu is alone and he has got quite a number of recordings that he needs to upload in a day. So just be very patient with that. He has been, at the moment, he's doing it within a 48-hour turnaround time, so he's trying to push them through quite quickly. I just want to show you, for example, one of the sessions now that we have here. I'm just going to show the accounting so you can see what it looks like when a recording is up on the site. So this is what it will look like. You can see that it is a YouTube recording, and that is what we usually, how it will look when it comes up. And we will put the session date as the subject as well. So please take note of that. Then there is also the notes folder. So I'm going to just show you how this looks in this particular case. I just need to log in again. 5384445. So every time, unfortunately, you will need to log in with your UNISA credentials. But I'll give you a tip how to remedy this as well. And then I just need to put in my password. Okay, so yeah, you can see is the notes for FAC 1601. Sorry, I'm using this one, but it's just an example. And if you click on the folder for the 10th, there you can see is all the documentation that was discussed in that class. So once Jean does save, or if he uploads any notes, it will appear in your notes folder for your module as well. Okay, so that is where you can get it for QMI. Now, also, what is important about this schedule and not just looking at your emails is that at the last minute, a class can be cancelled, as was happened in the case of economics. So if the class is cancelled, we usually put up a little note, and we also go and post it in the chat. So that is why it's nice to have access to that chat function as well. And then I just want to go back into the Western Cape portal. Oh, no, before I do that. So if you scroll lower down, you will see again this link, events, workshop, and tutorial class schedule. So that's that high level one where it explains all our sessions that are available, be it at UNISA campus or online. So there you can see today we had training in the library, and then all the workshops that are taking place, postgraduate, numeracy, and writing. So everything is listed there. So this is just a high level view. And then lastly on this page, what I want to show you, another way to access your notes and recordings. So if we go to skills in quantitative methods, I've got a very upset cat outside, but just bear with me. I don't know if you can hear her. So this will take you to the same page as what I explained a little bit earlier on. What I am going to do for you is copy this link into the chat so that you have direct access to your notes and recordings for this session. Let me just give me a second. There we go. So you will receive it shortly. Right, so then the last thing I just want to show you on our site that is also important that I think is worthy to note is our contact details. So you can see everything has got CTN or Cape Town or CPT that is relevant to the Cape Town office. So academic support and ICT, so that is anything related to your academic literacies, quantitative literacies, or the numeracy center, writing center, as well as My UNISA, I explained the digital learning. Anything like that will go to CT and TUT. Then any student admin related queries, that is your applications, registrations, funding, academic records, those kinds of queries goes to Cape Town. And then any counseling was very important. Our counselors are at hand if you are feeling a little bit anxious, you need time management strategies, you feel like a little bit overwhelmed. They do provide free counseling services to your students. If it is more serious, for example, we even have students that contact sometimes with depression, bipolar, anything like that, then you can also, they will refer you to a counselor that is more qualified to assist you. Then we've got the library services. If you need to borrow books or articles, then you can also contact our library for those services. So please do go and just jot down these email addresses, or you can access them from our site. One thing I just want to share with you, what I usually do, and as you saw with my UNISA, you can star these pages as well, so that you've got them saved as your favorites, so that you don't need to go and stress about it too much to go and find them. Another tip that I can give you, what I have done is I use Edge for my work account, and then I open up Chrome for my school account or for my UNISA work. So that is also another tip that you can use. Then you don't need to sign in between the two accounts all the time. And I think, Jean, you learned something on Saturday that you might be able to share with the students as well. So I'm not going to go into too much detail there. But I just wanted to find out if everybody's now comfortable, you know how to access going forward, how to get the sessions, your notes, as well as the recordings. If I can just get a thumbs up from the 4 of you that are on the call, I'll appreciate it. If you know how to use the thumbs up. Thank you. Suzanne, you've got your hand up, but that's fine. I think that was there comes the thumbs up. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to hand over to Jean, and thank you, Jacina. I'm going to drop off the call. But if you have any queries, you're welcome to write to CT and SAT. I'm also going to put my email address in the chat for you. But please do email both email accounts, so you can write to CT and SAT and CC me, because I'm not always available at my email account, but at the CT and SAT we have somebody answering on a daily basis. So with that, I'm going to leave you with Jean in the capable hands of Jean, and enjoy your class, and any queries, please do reach out to us. Thank you, students, and have a great session.
Cool. Thanks, Bronwyn, for the introduction and everything. So let me start sharing my screen again, and there you can also see the CT and TUT email. That again is where I'll also share that later. But also, just before we start, just write down my WhatsApp number as well, so that I have a WhatsApp group for QMI, that I also share between that and the email some notes. I'll also just copy that for you guys in the email as well, so you have that, or in the chat, so you have that as well. Yeah, so send me a WhatsApp to join. I'll add you to the group, because I think what's also important is you will see tonight we're starting with theme 1, where we just look at some of the basic entry and the feel of this course. But I think you probably had assignments already due on this. So it will be good to share me some of your assignment due dates with what the themes are for those due dates. And you can do it in the chat, or you can do it on the WhatsApp group as well, so that our next sessions we can plan a bit more, that the sessions can align with your assignment due dates as well. Just so that I know at the end of the semester, your last assignment does cover everything. So it's not a waste to look at the start of the work now, but I think just for alignment between the work and your assignment, it will probably be a bit better. And just I'm also gonna copy, so there's lots of emails in the chat, but also if you want to email me, you can also use any of those two email addresses. So you've got my WhatsApp, you've got my email. So let's start. So first tell me, I think you had what, 2 or 3 assignments due already? And you can just in the chat also tell me nearly where you are at the moment, and what else Okay, so Melissa is typing. Due already. Okay, and that was probably on, what was it? Theme 1 and 2, probably. Okay, and your next assignment, when is your next assignment due? If it is okay. So please check for me, and also what the themes are that we need to cover for that, because then again we might even be able to create a session that is in line with that. So if it is early next week, it might even be that we can align and have a session before that next one, just so that we can maybe see. Okay, especially if it is a big 1 or 2 assignments coming up. Okay, so also what I will do is just want to find out from you guys, um, if needed, and we do a Monday or Tuesday session, will that be fine with you? Nearly the same time, we can make it even from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. So just um, give me nearly a thumbs up if Mondays can work. Um, just so that if you need to get certain sessions in before assignment. Okay, so Mondays is definitely then a possibility, and Tuesdays as well, or do you have clashes with other subjects on Tuesdays? Okay, cool. So Tuesdays can work, Mondays can work. So we'll make a plan. So I think that we can be a bit flexible as well. So that if your assignments are due a certain date and we need to do 1 or 2 sessions before that assignment, we can try to push that in. The other thing as well that Bronwyn didn't mention is that you guys can also, so okay, assignment is due on the 20th. Okay, so that is basically Monday, I think. Um, is that if you are struggling with a specific section, um, and you can let me know on the WhatsApp group. If it's only you that's struggling with it, we can um, do a one-on-one in the week or over weekends. We book for half an hour, and we can work through it. But if it is something that more students are also struggling with, then again, it's easy to just say, but let's book a hour session somewhere and we focus on one of the topics. So again, that's why I like you guys to be part of a WhatsApp group, so that one can just talk about and share those things as well. Okay, so let's just look at at the theme 1, just to look at probably things that you have already covered. But then after tonight's session, I will plan according to what the needs are, and then just align to your assessment. So in theme 1, um, basically we're looking at, and they assume with QMI and a lot of other decision-making subjects that you had some maths background. Um, Sometimes it's not possible and you had other subjects, so we normally do a quick recap of things that are important to cover in the study unit. So theme one is basically looking at previous work. Let me quickly, I can actually share the link in. Let me just do that. I'll just quickly share from my computer. That's actually a clever idea that let me quickly share it within the group. And then you guys can just actually click on the link. Okay, let's quickly see if this works. Okay, WhatsApp group link is in the chat. So hopefully if you click on it, you will be able to join. I'll watch it on my group as well to see if you guys are joining, but you can definitely on that WhatsApp group, or you can, for the guys that have just joined, I see coming through, you can just send me a WhatsApp on my cell phone number as well on 08379 so okay, I see a few of you are joining, so that's cool. What I'm also going to do is that I know Bronwyn said that they will capture the video and will put it onto YouTube and things like that. I normally do it as well. So I have a YouTube channel that I also post some of the videos. So I will probably, after tonight's session, I will already post it onto the WhatsApp group, but you can also access that. Okay, so we've got another hour nearly. Our next sessions we can also make longer. So let's just focus on theme one. Melissa or anyone else, if you can just see the assignment 3 that is due on the 20th, what themes you need to cover with that. I know it's on a Sunday, so we will probably from the next assignment 4, we will probably get some alignment between my classes that I will then align it with what you need to do. And we can always in between do nearly a backup and just do a fill in the other gaps, because I know your last assignment of 20% covers all the work, so that we just cover everything by then. Okay, so theme 1, we look at some priorities. So again, looking at maths that you guys should have had in high school. We just nearly do a recap of that. We look at what variables is. We look at laws of operation, because important, as we always ask 1 or 2 questions on that in your assignments, and definitely in your final assignment. They will do that as well. Then we go into fractions, powers, roots, then a bit of ratios, then some signs, notations, counting rules. We look at permutation, we look at combinations. I think also important nearly is that you are allowed to use your cell, or let's say not your cell phones, your calculators. You're allowed to use Excel. You're allowed to use online calculators. So if there is, and I'll share some of those things as we go along through this study unit as well. Um, when we get, I think later on, we get to some other calculations on annuities and those kind of things. I'll show you how to do that in Excel as well, so that you don't need to go out and buy an expensive calculator. You There are other ways of getting and being able to get and answer some of the questions. Okay, so basically then what I did, and I'll share this presentation as well, and then from the next session, what we will do is I will post the presentation beforehand into um, my UNISA for you to download if you want to, but I will also post it on the WhatsApp group so that you have it beforehand. If you want to make notes on it, you can. So from the next session, that will be also available for you. Okay, so basically, just quickly going to go through a few things. So we're covering in this instance what we call priorities. So what do we do first? So if they give you a set of values with signs in between, what do we do first? So normally the things that we do first, and you can look at the abbreviation that we sometimes call BOTMAS or BOMDAS. So always we do brackets first. Then you look at what is the order. Then one can say, okay, but multiplication or division, multiplication, it doesn't matter which one you do first, it will in the end come out the same. Then you add, and only lastly do you subtract. So if we have something like this one here at the top, where it was 2 times 3 plus 4 times 5, the first thing that you will do, okay, there's no brackets, so we don't need to look at brackets. But then, okay, multiplication. So that one, 2 times 3 will be done first, and then the 4 times 5. So you can see that we will then actually have two values that we need to add to get to 26. So if there's no brackets, we do multiplication first. Big difference to if there is brackets. So here you would see the same thing. So that was 26 for answer. But look as if there was brackets first. So then one needed to work out the bracket first, which is 7. So 3 plus 4 is 7. Then you can, doesn't matter which one you multiply. So if you multiply with a 2 or if you multiply with a 5 first, it doesn't matter. So 7 times 5 would have been 35. And then if I multiply that by 2, I get 70. So what will happen in your assignments is that they might give you something like this, where one of the answers is that, and one of the answers is that. So that nearly they want to check that you're doing the right process. And don't be surprised when if they even in the next question ask it a bit differently. And that goes for nearly all your assignments. going ahead with the differences in when we get to all the other things that we need to focus on. So even when we look at looking at interest rates and those calculations, again, it might be that they give you information when we get to that of a simple interest, and then suddenly the next same information, but they ask you maybe a compound interest question. And then the answers is exactly the same. The answer set is exactly the same, but you have two different answers. But I'll show you some of those examples as well. Okay, so this was priorities of how you do when you have a different signs. The other thing that we need to know about is variables. So we will get into theme 2 and 3. We will use this a lot. Where basically when we're going to look at what is it, the laws, or let me quickly see, functions, linear functions, quadratic functions, all of that, we are going to look at maybe something where in a linear function we have x plus y equal to 4. So that is just two variables that we are going to use. We will get to the quadratic functions where we're going to sit with x squared, say, plus 4x minus 3 or something like that. That will also be in theme 2 and 3. But again, so this is just showing that, just remember that we are going to work with variables, and what the variable does, it is sitting there in a place of a number. So if we look at the simple example of x plus 4 is equal to 6, so the value that the x is taking that space for is the value 2. So 2 plus 4 is 6. So in this instance, the x variable is just equal to 2. And we will, when we get to theme 2 and 3, that is where we will just, it will be a bit more difficult, the variables and the equations that you work with, but it's going to really be the same principle that we're going to follow. Okay, then there's just a few laws that I don't think you need to worry about it. I have now summarized it for you. So when I send it on, you can just use it as is. But basically it is, we not going to see it ever in this format. But when we get to, again, theme 2 and 3, and we need to suddenly work with 4x plus 3y plus 7x plus 4x to the power of 2, or something like that. We need to know what we can add and what we can't add and those kind of things. The same if we are working with brackets. So if we later on get to an equation that is something like this, we need to know basically how to nearly solve that. So that is the distributive law, where we would just say, okay, but I'm going to multiply the 3 in. So we will see 3 times x, that will be 3x. But then we also need to multiply the 3 with the second term that we have, so that will be 3y. So this is just, again, it feels a bit all the theory behind it, but basically what it is to nearly explain to us when we get to the next few themes that you're going to use it a lot. So especially if I look at when we do the functions in theme 2.1, the linear functions in 2.2, the quadratic functions in 2.3, that is definitely areas where we are going to use it, just in a different format. Okay, then fractions. Again, I think with this one it's more towards what we will see later. So if we have something like 11x minus 1 over 24, that we know how we need to change it into a format that we can use easier. So where that will then be something like 11x over 24 minus 1 over 24. So just things like that. Again, in theme 2 and 3, you will see a lot. They might have in your first two assignments, there might have been questions to say you have maybe a fraction like this, and they say, okay, but write it as improper fraction. I don't know. I haven't seen your assignments, but it might have been that they've asked something like that, but it doesn't happen a lot that they ask it. So it might have been in assignment 1 or 2, they ask you one question around it. They might have asked you something about a proper fraction, and they might have asked you something about a mixed number, but probably only one of them. They're not going to ask you a lot of that. The other thing that is important, but again, what I tell the students, if when you're simplifying fractions, what I normally do is also look at your answer set, so that if you had the 20 over 60 as one of your answers, go to your answer set and see what answers they provide to you. So if there isn't one that is dividing by 60, then go and see, okay, but maybe there's, if I divide both by 10, maybe there's one of the answers is that it's divided by 6. Again, if you don't see one that's divided by 6, then nearly say, okay, but then if I divide 2 into 2, it's 1. If I divide 2 into 6, it's 3. So what I normally do is, especially with fractions and with decimals, look at what your options is for answers, and then see if you nearly need to simplify to the smallest number, or if there is other options available. I think that again is because sometimes one wants, and it's the same nearly with improper fractions as well. Sometimes they give, so okay, that wasn't the same answer, but sometimes they give you as the final answer 7 over 4. If you don't see it as a function, as a fraction like that, then you go and say, okay, but that is 1 with 3 over 4. And that might then be one of your answers. But again, nearly let the answer set nearly guide you a bit into what you are going to answer in the end. Prime factors, if I have asked it in one of your assignments, it's basically what we do with prime factors, and it can be, let's use 122 as a prime, but we need to work out the prime factor of that. So you can nearly do it on a few ways, but normally how I start with it is to say, okay, I can see that 2 can divide into it. So 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 12 6 times. So for this one, the one prime factor is 2. I hope I didn't now use a number that, what can 61 divide into? I hope that's not it's probably going to be a prime number. Come on. It looks like that is a prime number. 3 can't go in there, 4 can't, 5 can't, 6 can't, 7, 8, sure, 9, no, 10, no, 11. Okay, so that's a bit stupid example, but 61 then goes into 61 once, and your 2 prime factors would have been 2 and 61. Okay, stupid example, but it's basically, if it, let's change it. Let's change it to 120. So that we can just, I can just show you what I wanted to do. Okay, so let's say it's 120. 2 goes into 120 and 60. Then we would have said, okay, 2 goes into 50 or 60 50 times. 2 goes into 50 15 times. Okay, so 2 can't go into 15. At least we have, so for 2 to the power of 8, then we would say 3 goes into 15. That is 5 times. So 5 would have been left. 5 goes into 5 and 1 time. So we would have had then a formula of 2 to the power of 3 times 3 times 5, and that would have been your prime factor. Again, probably only in assignment 1 and 2 that we will focus on this. When you get to the last part of your last assignment towards the end of the year, this is probably not something that they're going to ask you. Fractions. So just again, a bit more on the fractions. So when you get some of, oh, okay, wait, sorry, my power just went off. To see why. Okay, just give me a few seconds. I just want to see. I just want to reconnect my my screens and things like that. I'll be back now. Sorry guys, I'm back. Okay, so on with fractions again, this is something that I think will also be in the last assignment of a year, when you will probably get a question like this that would have been your assignments now as well, where they nearly give you multiplication, they give you a division one or the divide, and they might even give you one where you need to subtract as well. So they might give you something like this still towards the end of the year. They definitely would have probably, and you guys can tell me from assignment 1 and 2, if I have given you something like this already. But what you then do with something like this, we also need to remember the process, so the priorities. So we first do multiplication. With this one, doesn't look like we could have simplified anything. So at the top we multiply, that would have been 32. At the bottom we multiply, so that would be 21. Then the next step is we need to divide by 5/6. Remember, and we've seen it with the division of fractions, when we divide 5 divided by 6, we can also say, well, the other way is to turn it upside down so that it is 6/5. So again, unfortunately, nothing in here that we could have. No, there's nothing that we nearly could say that we can make it simpler. So we would have needed to multiply that out. So it would have been something weird. 192 over 21 times 5 is 1/105. And then we would have needed to say, okay, well, we subtract 3/4. So I don't know if, again, I should have picked a better better option. So let's see if we subtract rather something different. Let's say that was 3/5. So if we say we need to subtract 3/5, so 192 over 105. So we need to convert that 5 into 105. So how we do that is multiply by 21. So if I multiply at the bottom by 21, I need to multiply at the top with 21. So 21 times 3 will give me 63. And then it's possible to solve this. So 192 minus 63 would have given you 129 over 105. And again, now we need to check what your answer set is that they give you. It might be that they give you 129 over 105 when you pick it. It might be that we go back and they give you an improper one, so that we say, okay, well, it's 1 and 24 over 105. So depending again on, look at your answer set to decide which one you go with. And I don't think 24 over 105 can change unless you might even be able to divide 3 into each one to get a smaller one. So again, let your answer set nearly guide you into what level you simplify. Okay, so it might have been that you had something like this. Normally, it would be numbers that will work better so that you can cancel out in the process as well, but you normally don't sit with something like this. But yeah, I just wanted to show you nearly how you can include all of that into one. Okay, then if you look at the decimals that you have done already, you need to nearly know how to work with the decimals. If you look in your study guide, that exercise page, that if you look at exercise 1.3, that's a very nice one to nearly look at and to cover. And if you can do that, you'll be fine. They don't in this subject really ask you around definitions and things like that, so you don't need to worry to study these or anything like that. The other part that you need to also have a bit of understanding about is powers, but also then just some of the rules. So we will again, when we get to theme 2 and 3, you will use this a lot. So it's not really for now to really understand it, but when you look at theme 2 and 3, you will use the powers a lot. So there might be, if you look at instances where, and it might have been asked already in one of your 2 assignments, there might be questions where you will have x to the power of 2 divided by x to the power of 4 divided by 2, or it might be that in the next session we will have things where you will have the quadratic equation and it might be even divided by a simple function. So things like that will be coming up, where you need to know, okay, what can I do with that exponent or that power? Can it be split? Do I need to factorize it to get to an answer, or can I just from the start make it simplified? So this instance, you can simplify it because it's one term over other one. So with this, you can actually just say 4 minus 2 the powers, and that will be your final answer. But when you have not a single term, you first need to factorize that and break that term into more, and then you might be able to simplify. Okay, so depending on what is needed and how I phrase a question, it might be that you will be able to quickly use the rules, or you need to first simplify and factorize before you are able to use the rules. But this one would have been something that is covered early, this equation will be covered much later. So that is in theme 2 and 3, where you will look at simple and quadratic functions and things like that. Okay, then for other things, so when we have something to the power of, obviously the opposite of that is roots. So instead of having 2 to the power or 10 to the power of 2 to get the answer, we would have had it that you need to take the square root of 100. Okay, so that would have been covered in part 1 of theme 1 as well. So again, you can look at, there can be cube, there can be, doesn't need to matter, but there can be something to the, and I don't even know what to call it, to the fraction of 7. It can be to the fraction of 8. It basically will just need to, they need to tell you what you need to do with that. Okay, so, and again, the simplest, if you have something like this, is that will be equal to 1/8. So depending on what is in that root area, that is what you will then say 1 divided by. So again, just that link between the power function and the roots function. That something to the power of, and then the other side is if you the root of, so it's just doing the opposite. Then what you would have seen as well in assignment 1 and 2, they might have talked about ratios, proportions. The important thing about this for me is for you guys when they talk about it in the wording. So we normally write it as something like this, but it might be that in your assignments, and I know decision scientists love to do that, is to say, but let's put that into words. So they would ask a question, something like, but what is, if it is 4/1, or if it is 1/4 simplified? So for me, the important thing with the ratios and proportions and percentages is just to get those words right. We will later, when we get to a collection and presentation of data and things like that, there are also sometimes the English that they use is, I always say it's higher grade English, because they, instead of just trying to ask the question very simple, they throw in words like not bigger than, or at most, or things like that. So again, with the ratios and the proportions, just when they use the words, just make sure that if they say 4/1, that you don't do the opposite and then use a proportion instead of the ratio. So for ratios, it is, they use the word to, and for proportions, they use the words out of. So again, just from that perspective, be careful when they use words instead of the normal math science that we are used to. Okay, then the other thing that you would have seen also is permutations, combinations. They might even have asked it already for you. They might have also asked both sets, that they ask you to work out the permutation and also to work out a combination. So the difference between the two is a permutation order matters, where in a combination order does not matter. Um, so you will also have that your permutation, when you work it out, will always be bigger than your combination. So if I had, say, where n is equal to 6 and r is equal to 3, so it will always be bigger, your permutation, when you calculate it, than your combination. So when you guys need to, if it is the same question, they ask you the permutation to work it out, they ask you the combination, always remember that the permutation answer will always be bigger. You can use your calculators. Most of the calculators have you can look for that on the calculator. They normally have a permutation and the combination. Um, just want to see why that now. They always have on one of the dials on your calculator, there is a combination and a permutation and combination. In Excel, there is also a combination and permutation formula that you can use, so you don't need to buy an expensive calculator. You can also do it on Excel. And even if you guys, because all of this is online, you can actually Google permutation calculator, and there is permutation calculators for you online that you can use as well. So again, if, like I said, there was the 6 and there was the 3, it will calculate it for you. So again, use the tools that are available. We can quickly check. So for the permutation, it was 120. Let's quickly check if there is, what is the other one? Combination. Let's do a combination calculator. Again, 6 and 3. And you can see it also gives you the process, and where you see it was 20. So permutation was 120, calculation or combination was 20. So permutation will always be bigger. Okay, so please use online calculators where you are able to. It's there for you to do. In the end, the only thing you can't do is in your assignments is to ask a fellow student, but nothing prohibits you from using the online tools that you now see it is available. Okay, and then nearly the last part in Theme 1 was, and I know they focused a lot on this, so please, you probably have done now assignment 1 and 2. they would have asked you questions on length, area, and volume. When you get to that final assessment, that is about 20% of your mark, they will again ask you specifically the units and the measures. So this will be part of that final assignment as well. So length, area, volume is very important. Length is very easy. So it doesn't matter what your shape is. When you do length, you basically just count all the length of all the lines, and that will be your total length. So it doesn't matter what type of shape, you will just add all of those lines, and that will be your final answer for length. Area becomes a bit different. So when we look at a rectangle, or we look at a square or anything like that, it's normally the one times the other one, so length times width. When we get to triangles, normally what they need to give you is the height as well. So then it will be something like a half base times height. So if you need to have a triangle, that will be the area of a triangle. If it was length of triangle, again, we will just add those three lengths of the sides. And then the last one is volume. So the only thing different with area and volume is basically that you add a height component. So then you would see it is exactly the same. That should not be there. So the only thing that you add is a height component. So again, if we had the triangle, the only thing that we would have added was a height component. So your volume of a triangle would have been half times base, that small height times your bigger height. Okay, so, but what I will do, and I'm just making a mark for myself, what I will do for you guys is, and I'll send it on the WhatsApp group. So if you guys that joined a bit later, please, my number for you to join the WhatsApp group. And if you want just to use the chat, the link for the chat, you can do that as well. And join our WhatsApp group, because I'll share on that group, I'll share some other information as well. Okay, so that was a quick run through of the things that is in theme 1. But I now want to get, so you guys need to, your next assignment need to be in by Sunday, so that's a bit cruel. When is your 4th assignment? Because I see that is also a big part of it. I think that again is a 20% 20% assignment. So that 4th assignment, when is that due, and what themes are you covering in that one, so that I can just make sure that our next session we focus on those themes, that it can help you. So does any one of you guys know when that is, and what themes must be covered? and you can unmute as well. You don't need to type. So if you know when that fourth assignment is due, please let me know. And while you're looking for it or don't have it at hand, I'm going to share this presentation. I'm going to share the recording as well on WhatsApp. Then I want us to prepare for your next big assignment. So I will just check when that is due. If you can share that with me, you can share it later on the WhatsApp group as well. I'll ask for that in any case. Then just lastly, before we end the session, did it help? It does, is this nearly how you guys want to go through the work? Do we need to, I will add in a bit more examples as well. But does it help, or is this, yeah, so just quick bit feedback before we end the session for tonight. And anybody can go. Please don't be quiet. Okay. You can type as well. Okay, so let's quickly see. Assignment 4, all topics covered in assignment 1, 2, and 3. So we basically need to go up till theme 2.2. Okay, so the next session we will cover theme 2.1 and 2.2. Okay, so we just missed. We basically just missed with this session. If this was a week earlier, it would have been perfect. Okay, so we just missed your first 2 assignments that covered this work. Okay, so when you do now assignment 3, you can always, please, if there's any of the assignment 3 things that, because that is due for Sunday, if that 20th of August is the right due date, okay, so send me, if you can, okay, wait, I'm gonna stop the recording and then I'm gonna talk further. So